Last year, Rolex produced 1.176 million watches, more than any year in their 120-year history. Their revenue was over $11 billion. They are, by a wide margin, the most successful watchmaker on Earth. And yet, if you walked into a Rolex authorized dealer today and asked for a Submariner or a Daytona or a GMT Master, there's a good chance they'd tell you they don't have one for you. Not because they're sold out, because they're not going to sell it to you. So how does the world's most successful watch company deliberately refuse to sell watches to the people who want to buy them and become more profitable every year because of it? For most brands, demand exceeding supply is a good problem to have. You raise prices, you expand production, you satisfy the market. Standard business. Rolex does none of those things. Even after producing more watches in 2024 than any year in their history, waitlists at authorized dealers still stretch months to years for popular references. On the secondary market, some Rolex models sell for over 2.5 times their retail price the moment they leave the store. For most companies, this would be a signal to expand. Build more factories, hire more watchmakers, chase the demand. In 2025, waitlists at authorized dealers actually shrank compared to the frenzy years of 2022 and 2023. But Rolex didn't respond by ramping supply. They responded by continuing to make watches at almost exactly the same measured pace they always have. Because the scarcity isn't a bug, it's the entire business. Here's the trick. Rolex is not owned by a family. It's not publicly traded, it cannot be bought, it cannot be sold. Since 1960, Rolex has been owned by a single Swiss charitable foundation called the Hans Wilsdorf Foundation, established by the company's founder before his death. If that sounds familiar, it's the same trick IKEA uses. A foundation structure means there are no shareholders demanding quarterly growth, no board pressure to expand into new markets, no incentive to satisfy every customer. The foundation exists in perpetuity, and its stated purpose is charitable, funding causes in the Geneva area. Rolex is technically a non-profit's cash-generating engine, and that changes everything about how the company operates. A normal watchmaker with $11 billion in revenue and years-long waitlists would triple production. Investors would demand it. Rolex can't be pushed that way. Instead, they've done the opposite. They've built the entire brand around a scarcity that most companies would consider a failure. They could easily make more watches. They don't. And every year they don't, the value of a Rolex, the actual object and the badge of owning one, compounds. The scarcity itself is engineered through a network of authorized dealers. Every quarter, each authorized dealer receives a small allocation of watches from Rolex. Popular references, the Daytona, the GMT Master, the Submariner in certain colors, arrive in tiny numbers. A single flagship dealer might get 1 or 2 of a hot reference per year. Dealers then decide who gets to buy them. And here's the part. Almost nobody outside the watch community talks about publicly. Dealers maintain a purchase history for each customer. To be offered the rare Rolex you actually want, you often have to first buy other watches from that dealer. Tudor, other Swiss brands, sometimes a less desirable Rolex reference, to establish yourself as a serious buyer. The result is that Rolex effectively converts every scarce reference into a driver of other sales. Every waitlist creates dozens of hopeful buyers who spend thousands elsewhere just to be considered. The next layer is the secondary market. When retail supply is deliberately constrained, buyers flood the resale market. Chrono24, watch charts, private dealers. The total secondary market for Rolex watches was estimated at $7 billion in 2025. For most of the last 2 decades, Rolex captured almost none of that revenue directly, but the resale premium became the world's most effective marketing. Every headline about a Daytona selling for $40,000 is free advertising. Then, in 2022, Rolex made a rare strategic move. They launched certified pre-owned, allowing authorized dealers to sell used Rolex watches with an official warranty. In 2025, the program did an estimated $700 million in sales, Rolex finally capturing revenue from the resale ecosystem their own scarcity created. So when people see Rolex and think, Expensive luxury watches, they're missing what actually happens. Rolex isn't in the watch business. They're in the scarcity business. The watches are the delivery mechanism. The foundation structure removes every incentive to grow past the point where scarcity works, and every year of restraint compounds the brand. The waitlist isn't a problem to solve, it's the product. The customer who never gets the watch is often the most valuable customer of all, because their disappointment funds the Tudor sale that funds the next scarce Daytona allocation forever. That's the whole business model, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. If you want to see how other companies pull off similarly clever tricks, hit subscribe.